talk about three interesting concepts in object-oriented: nested classes, interface, and abstract. Okay, so in this case, we're going to explain them, how to use them, and so on. So I'll start with the nested class. Nested class is a common thing in Java that everyone sometime you need to use it, and the reason for using it is to make things more secure, or to protect some class inside another class. To do nested class, you can do it in different two ways. You can make it as a non-static class, or you can make it a static class. So for example, if I have create a new project, let's say that call it nested example, for example. Okay, example like this. Okay, and we're gonna demonstrate that this is the project. So you have to choose the project first, Java, and then we say next, and then we say nested example, and finish right here. So we'll have another example about nested, and this is our example right here. So we have the main class. Okay, let's say that I'm going to create a class inside a class. So we have two options. We said we have a non-static class. Non-static class is an open class that can use static or non-static. So if you have a class inside a class, you can do it in two ways. You can put it inside the class, or you can put it inside the method, or you can put it as an anonymous inner class. Okay, if you put it inside the class, that means that it is protected inside the class, and the only one can use this class is what is the class itself. So every method in the class can use the class, right? It's more like a variable inside the class, protected as private variable. If you put it inside a method, that means that the only thing that can use that class is the method itself. Even the other method inside the same class cannot use this class, because it's belong to a specific method. They call it local class or something like that. Anonymous inner class is a class that more like an empty class, and you can initialize it any time. So here we have an example like inner class and outer class. So I'm gonna create a class here inside the class. So I have this class. I'm gonna use the same main class similar to this example. So inside the class here, inside the class, okay, I'm not gonna create a new class like what we did before. No, I'm gonna create the class inside. Okay, so instead of that, okay, let's do it with a different way. So if I want to create a new class, I would say what? I will say new Java class, and that class I'm gonna call it, for example, outer class, CLS. Let's say outer CLS or inner CLS. Let's say inner CLS, and I'm gonna say next. Okay, so inside that class I'm gonna write this variable and this method. I'm just gonna use them the same thing. Okay, so I'm gonna copy them and use these same methods. Okay, this is the copy. Yes, so what I do here, I will put right this. Okay, so as you can see that I don't want this, I want something else. Okay, so this is the class. It's contain integer number, contain private, it's contain a lot of things. In the main class, if I go to the main class, I can use it directly. But if you want to make it this class not a separate class like this, I want to put it inside another class. So instead of creating a separate class, I want to be secured or protected in more different ways. So I'm gonna copy this class from here. Okay, copy, or copy that and then put it where? Inside this class. Inside this class. So here I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna put it inside here. Okay, so you can see that we have a class inside the class, but because it's inside, I'm gonna make it what? I'm gonna make it private to make it more protected and more encapsulated inside the class. And I'm gonna delete that file, so I'm gonna remove that file completely from the project because I want a separate class. And I will say okay. So what happened now? We have a class inside the class. Now inside the other class, if I want to use it in any method, it's not necessarily to be the main method. Okay, so I can use it. I can say what? I can say in our class, in our CLS, so let's call it inner equal new what? New inner CLS. So I create an instance from that class. Okay, what happens is that I create an instance from that class. Okay, now it is a non-static. It is a non-static. So what I'm gonna do is basically let's do something else because we don't want the static now. We want the static later on. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna have to let's say I'm gonna create a new Java class. I don't wanna teach you the static now. Let's take it outer CLS. Okay, and in this outer CLS I'm gonna create a string name and let's make it private. Okay, that's normally what you do. Okay, string name, and I will call for example private SID and make it as integer for example, and I will create a constructor for this class. So I'm gonna say insert code from here and insert the constructor. Yes, I'm gonna create a full constructor for example, and I'm gonna create another constructor, empty constructor without anything, and I will create setter and getter. So I'm gonna insert setter and getter here. I think you all know this now, so I'm gonna make it quick. Okay, so this is the class I created. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I put that class inside this class. I'm gonna put it right here inside underneath the variables. So you can see that we have a class right here. Okay, this class inside the another class. So this is the class inside the outer class. I'm gonna remove it from the main because I don't need it right here. I'm gonna make this as a comment. So that should work now, inshallah. And I'm gonna save it. That's fine. So what I did here, I put a class inside the class, but I put it inside the class itself. Right? Inside the class itself. So if I have a method inside the class and that method just do something, okay, any method, let's say this one here, print for example, that method prints something. All right, so if I want to use that inside the main, that's easy for me. I can just go to the main, okay, and I can use it in any way. Let's say that here, remove this partners here. Okay, so inside the main I can say for example outer CLS. Okay, I'm saying call it outer equal new outer, okay, CLS. So what I did here, I create an instance from the outer class, but I cannot create an instance from the class inside, from the inner class here, because it's inside the outer class. I cannot do that because it is not allowed. I say inner CLS, that will give me an error. CLS, I'm going to say inner, for example, equal new, let's say inner CLS, and that will give me an error. Because what? Because this inner class is actually inside the outer class. I do not have access to it. So if you make the class inside the other class, you protected it. Okay, you cannot use it directly outside the class. Okay, only use it inside this class. I can use it anywhere inside the class. Okay, I can use it anywhere here inside the class, anywhere, because it is here as a global variable. It is here defined as what? As global. Can be accessed anywhere inside a class. So if I come to this method, for example, and I say, let's say that I'm create an instance from it. Okay, if I copy that error here in the main class, that error here, and I copy it in this function, they will not give me an error because I am inside the same class. Okay, I am inside the same class. Even if I have another method, let's say, for example, calculate GPA method, for example, and this method is calculate GPA. Okay, so if I do that, okay, even though I can create an instance, so anywhere in the class you can create an instance from the class. You can create it as an array if you want. That should be fine. So you do this and that will work. So I just give it a size and that should be fine. So when I need this one, let's say, for example, you have a student class, and inside the student class, for example, the student is taking courses. Okay, you can put the courses class inside the student class. In that case, no one can access the courses, only the student can access the courses. Okay, so this is for an example. All right, so you can put it as an array, you can put it as a variable, you can deal with it, you can do whatever you want. All right, the things that you need to understand is that I can only access it inside the class. All right, this is the first way. Second way, okay, I cannot access it from any side. The second way, if I move the class instead of the class to be inside the class like this, I say no, I'm gonna cut it from here, okay, and I put it inside this method, inside the method. You see the void method, I'm gonna put it inside the void method. Okay, so I would remove the private because it's already private, and remove this one here. Yes, only this one. I just want to copy the inner class. So this is the inner class. I put it inside the variable, and you can see that. And this is the close for this is the close here for the class. So remove this one. So that should be fine, right? Because what happens is that I am only using it inside the class. Okay, so here this is the class, inner class, inside the method, class, inner class inside the method, and this class has a print, system.print inner class, and this is the method. So if I want to use it, okay, I can use it only inside this method. I can use it only inside this method. So for example, I can say like this. I can say like this. Okay. In our class, I can use it inside the method only. Okay. Now, anonymous class is more like abstract class. Okay, so what I want to do is what? Gonna move this class outside. I'm gonna say cut. I'm gonna put it outside as a different class, like this. Okay, that should be okay. Okay, that should be okay. It's similar to when you put it in separate file, but instead of having it in separate file, you just put it what? You just put it in the same file, but you have two classes now. Okay, you have two classes. So this is the inner class right here. It's not anymore inner. I'm gonna call it anonymous class. So let's call it anonymous CLS, for example, and I'm gonna save. Okay, and this is the outer class, but I'm gonna make as anonymous. I'm gonna make it what? I'm gonna make it as abstract. When we say abstract class, we mean it's an empty class. Okay, it's an empty class. I can put an abstract method inside it. For example, I can make this method abstract. As I say here, for example, public abstract. If the method abstract or the class abstract, that means there's no code inside it. So I'm going to remove the code from here because it is abstract. They're not supposed to have a code. Now, how do I use this one? I can use it only inside this class. So how do I use it? If I want to come back to this program here, I can use it directly. Okay, copy. I'm gonna say here, instead of this one, I'm gonna say anonymous, and the anonymous is equal new anonymous CLS. I took an instance from it. Okay, and there's one extra CLS here. So this is how I do it. It's an abstract class. Because it's an abstract class, when you see that, it's giving me an error. Because it's an abstract class, so I have what? There's no code there. There's no code here. So I have to put my own code when I insert it. So I create this partners and I close it right here. Okay, so inside this I can write the code of the class. I can put methods, I can put constructor, I can put anything I want. Okay, so let's say, for example, I'm gonna put this method inside it. I'm gonna use this method. I'm gonna put it inside here. Okay, so I wrote a method called my method, and this method print what? And this method just print what? Print a statement called anonymous inner class. Okay, because the method is different name, so the method here has to be the same name. So I'm gonna put here my method, and that should be work. Okay, and that should work now, because the abstract class will be override. You can see I have abstract class, and inside the abstract class I have abstract method. So when I create an instance from abstract class, I have to put the code inside like this.